you to step in this water. Come on. Because y'all so opinionated, on this shouldn't be done or this, I can't believe this, that, and the third. I mean, I've been called all sorts of names, all sorts of, she's.
What's up? This your boy Designer Don, and we're back with another Sons of Florida podcast.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chantel Rhodes, and I am running for Fort Myers City Council Ward 3. I was born and raised right here in Fort Myers, Florida. I'm excited about taking on this new challenge. It's kind of a new challenge, but at the same time, it's a secondary challenge for me. Thank you so much for Sons of Florida podcast having me on. Thank you. I look forward to this discussion.
I mean, it's an honor and a pleasure to be sitting right here with you. I mean, I couldn't be more ecstatic to be sitting down with you. And like you said, we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah, taking it back to childhood.
Yeah, most definitely.
There's a lot of talk about me like not being from Fort Myers, me having no ties to this community. And where you connected with me, the first thing I thought was, wow, another childhood connection. We connected through the church scene once again. I mean, that was your upbringing.
For sure.
As a PK, that was my upbringing. My mother,
absolutely,
deeply involved in the church. My entire family, actually. So that's how we met. That's how we know each other.
Absolutely.
And I'm proud of the Sons of Florida podcast. Shout out to the Sons of Florida podcast.
Like I said, it's an honor and a pleasure. I love everything that you're doing.
I appreciate it.
So let's jump right into it, though. Like they said, that you're not connected to. People want to say that you're not connected, but what's your fondest memory of growing up in the Dunbar community as a child?
That's a tough one. My fondest memory growing up.
Yeah, you from playing marbles or riding up and down the streets on the bicycles, and take us back to one of those fun childhood memories.
Yeah. Okay. I will say spending time doing my swimming lessons at the Stars Complex. I spent a significant amount of time with my grandmother growing up. And of course, we were always in church. I went to Christian school, of course, then it's Vacation Bible School. Those memories are definitely deeply imparted in me. But when I think of one of my favorite memories, I would say it was swim lessons, taking swim lessons with Mr. Lee Pitts there at the Stars Complex. And at the time, I had my best friend, Andrea James, living here. Shout out to you, bestie. She was living here, and she was there for my foundational years. And she is still in my life to this day. So her mother made sure that whatever Andrea did,
that's right,
Chantel was a part of it. And so I honor her mother because very much like my mother, when you care about children, you care about all of the children that are around you, not just your own. And I know you know this as a father.
For sure.
So shout out to Miss Rosetta James in her honor and her memory. But if Andrea was in Girl Scouts, she made sure that I was at Girl Scouts. We had a troop that met at Franklin Park Elementary School. But there was one thing that Drea was allowed to do that I wasn't allowed to do. And that made me mad as a child. I wanted to be a cheerleader. She was a cheerleader for, at the time, it was the Wildcats.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to be a cheerleader so bad. And here go my grandma. No, the skirts are too short. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do nothing.
Grandma wasn't having it.
She wasn't having it. And here go my mama following behind her, listening to her. I wasn't able to do a lot of stuff. I had to wait till I was older to even get my ears pierced and all kind of stuff. But shout out to Andrea, because we were tight all throughout the years. And it's rare to find a friendship that lasts for decades.
Yeah, a lasting friendship.
Absolutely.
It's something special about that.
Absolutely. So those are among my fondest memories growing up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but like you said, even growing up there, you're still a part of that community to today, far as home ownership. What does that look like though?
Okay. That's a good question, because there has been a lot of talk about what makes somebody legally eligible to run for public office? And that's a thing that I want to help educate the masses on, because in the future, I want to see more and more young people actually pursue running for office. So there is something called a city charter, and that city charter basically says you have to be a permanent resident of Fort Myers, which I am. And that city charter says you have to live consecutively for 6 months in the house prior to the specific election day. That's where it gets fun legally, because a consecutive 6 months, it doesn't say necessarily that it has to be that immediate 6 months, but when you are a permanent resident, that's what I especially want people to hone in on and study, because you can have feelings about whatever you want, but there is knowledge, there is a system, there are laws in place that we absolutely have to follow. And yeah, being a homeowner, thanks to my grandparents and their investment.
What a blessing.
And that's what we want for our kids, right? We want for our kids to be able to live off of our work, to live off of our inheritance, so that they can have something as a launching pad to help them. Yeah, to help them in life without, this struggle mentality of, oh, if you didn't get it out the mud. I've had family members say some of the craziest stuff to me. Right. I didn't work for it. I've been given things, but I'm blessed to have that inheritance from my grandparents. That home has been in my family since 1960, as I mentioned in a previous interview. And so it's just a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to give back. It is a blessing to be able to help others understand the process of running for public office. Again, nobody should be running unopposed. Let's talk about that, because there's a lot of people who will say, I think it should be done this way, or I don't agree with this, but very few people will step in that water to say, I will do this publicly. I know I'm going to run into all kind of smear campaigns, run into all kind of just talk from people. And you have to be up for the challenge mentally and emotionally and spiritually, but it is expected, because it will come. And so back to home ownership, I would like to see more people in our community owning their homes. And in addition to that, taking charge in their community, saying, you know what? I don't like how things are being done. I don't like how things are looking. So why would I just sit back and be passive? Right. Why would I just be a spectator when I feel that I have the ability to say, no, let me jump in this game. Let me jump in here. And when you create that competition, you automatically set the standard a little bit higher. Because think about it. If somebody is not challenged, they're not going to work as hard. But it's the minute competition is introduced, competition is a beautiful concept, because it helps us sharpen, it helps us grow. And I encourage everybody to look at it that way.
Absolutely.
To look at it as not somebody being divisive of our community because they decided to run against a certain person. The standard gets set much higher when there's competition introduced. Yeah.
Right, for sure. So with that being said, how's your mental health?
That's a wonderful question.
Yeah, I just want to get into that, because you've had some struggles in the past where you had, some years ago you had the talk.
I had the talk. That's a good way to put it. The talk. And we can get into the talk for this audience. So let me start by saying I believe that recovery is possible. I don't teach that just from a standpoint of book knowledge or a standpoint of my job wants me to memorize this script so that I could repeat it to other people. I know it personally. I know the mental health system personally from my own vantage point.
Absolutely.
I lived with depression for a long time.
Yeah.
And the reason I call it a long time, because every day with depression, it can affect other areas of your life. But even as a provider, even as someone who has worked assisting people get connected to the field of mental health. You know, they say we're the worst ones when it comes to helping ourselves and doing for ourselves.
Because you're trying to help everybody else.
Absolutely. And sometimes we foolishly and arrogantly say, I can do this on my own, or I can manage it with this or that. And sometimes we shy away from medication treatment. We shy away from therapy.
Yeah.
You know, I think therapy is becoming trendy these days among millennials, among Gen X, Gen Z. But there are still some people in our community who feel like, I'm not going to go talk to a shrink. I don't want to be labeled as this. And that's what we call stigma. Ultimately is that prejudice that we may have towards people who are suffering maybe with schizophrenia, major depressive disorder. Some people have anxiety. They can't even walk into a room without feeling overwhelmed, without starting to sweat. And there are some things that are natural for us to experience, but when it starts to affect your ability to live, laugh, and love, once it affects your ability to live, laugh, and love, that's when it's time to start talking to some professionals
for sure
about how they can help you. So as far as my own story, with depression, working in the field, I was in close proximity to those who could actually help me. Working for the Lee Health System was amazing because shout out to Lee Behavioral Health, because I started a medication that a lot of people have heard of, Lexapro. And I said, man, I should have started taking Lexapro when I was much, much younger. Life would have been different. And it's not something that, you know, gets you high. It's not, there's a lot of misunderstanding around medication. It's in a classification called SSRIs. And basically, you have to give it 30 days to work, but basically it balances out the chemicals in your brain. And so I encourage anybody, if you are living with any kind of signs and symptoms of depression and anxiety, and it's really taking a toll on your life, my push is that you use the insurance we have. Even there are some mental health providers that provide services at a scaling at a low cost, or on a scaling fee, so that people can access the help that they need. But I've taken advantage of therapy. I still talk to people to this day who I consider my safe space, where I'm able to just go and pour out my feelings.
Right.
You know,
we all need that person.
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as my mental health now, I think I'm in a good place. And so therefore I am even in a position to run for office, because can you imagine already dealing with depression and anxiety, and you jump in these waters? It's going to be not such a good combination. Right. So yeah.
But you had some other struggles that you pushed through. Yeah, the talk. So let's get into that though.
Absolutely.
About, you know, people speculating and saying different things about,
for sure,
you know, substance abuse.
Absolutely. Substance abuse. So a few years ago, shout out to this gentleman named Jason Teeters. He introduced a concept to the city of Fort Myers called, excuse my language, Fuck Up Fridays. You gonna have to bleep that out. So it's the concept of it is for you to present your story publicly about a time in your life where you screwed up, or you've realized you were in a messy position. And so a few years ago, I told my story publicly about what it was like for me living with opioid dependency. We call it opioid use disorder. So back in 2017, when I was much more younger and vibrant.
No, you still got it.
I'm a little. No, you still got these days. But when I was much more younger and vibrant, I was in a accident in Costa Rica, ATV accident in Costa Rica.
Speak on it.
Yeah. And I cracked my rib cage, right? So at the time, you know, I had some, you know, but I bounced back, because that's youth, you know, that's the beauty of youth.
For sure.
And over the years, I started to be impacted in my neck, herniated disc in my neck, just, you know, life catching up with you. So I'm adventurous, but I've slowed down quite a bit on the adventures. I was in that, I fell off of a cliff So a lot of my friends were there to witness it, and then I caught the ATV on top of that.
Wow.
So
you're blessed to be here.
I'm blessed to be. I've had several near-death encounters, but that led to me being prescribed an opioid to deal with pain management. And it's tough, right? Because when you see a younger person, you don't want to start them on this medication, but you know that their body may need that degree of pain relief. And I had been prescribed opioid for a number of years, and I found myself, here's the word, dependent.
Yeah.
So we would call that addicted. Absolutely. We don't want to shy away from that word. But lately, I've been hearing things. The minute somebody get mad at you, that's when you hear their real thoughts. Oh,
for sure.
Drug addict, and I hear you strung out on drugs. And the same ones that were sitting front row as I told my testimony to a room full of people, sometimes people will purposely distort that message for their own benefit in order to kind of, what we would say, tear a person down. But I would like to encourage everybody to think about the language that they use, as I am often challenged about my language.
Absolutely.
When we use harm, that contributes to the stigma, right? When we say stuff like druggy, or you strung out, or you're addicted to drugs. My time at Lee Health, working in the mental health navigation program, shout out to Lee Health and Kids Minds Matter. They spent a lot of time training us on the language that we use, right? So instead of a drug addict or a junkie, what we'll say is that person is living with the disease of addiction, because addiction is classified as a disease. A lot of people do not know that. Right. So when you need to take time off of work, of course, when you have the certain measures set up, like short-term disability, long-term disability, you have the ability to take the time and say, I'm going to address even addiction, whether that's to alcoholism. A lot of people may be addicted to nicotine. There are so many substances that we, for one reason or another, find ourselves in. And I said, Lord, the only thing I can do is tell my story, but I told it in a safe space. And of course, after that, you can't control how the message gets out there. Right. But I am always happy to talk to people about safe treatment options and effective treatment options too, for dealing with opioid use disorder. And I, again, just like I said, on a couple occasions, I feel like a medication has saved my life.
That's right.
Lexapro, as I just mentioned, and then the medication used to combat opioid use disorder, so that you are not dealing with, you have to break the cycle. So you'll go through a period of detox. I went through a period of detox. They take your phone, they take everything. I have lived my experience. So when I talk, I'm not talking from an academic perspective or on chapter 7 it says this. No, absolutely not. This is real lived experience, and you got to ask me about me at the end of the day. So
so you're speaking your truth.
Of course, speaking truth to power, and it's not anything to be embarrassed about. You know, I actually, as a matter of fact, Sammy Watkins, shout out to hometown 239 hero Sammy Watkins. He just released a story of his years struggling with depression and how it led
shout out to Sammy.
Yes, how it led to alcoholism. And these are the conversations we need to be having openly as a community. No shame, no stigma, as far as trying to call somebody a drug addict or a junkie, or to make fun of something that we are all susceptible to as human beings. It's time out for that. No, we're not doing that. We're not bullying people. We're not name calling, especially when it comes to the disease of addiction.
Absolutely. So you made it through that, and now we're moving forward. And what untapped potential do you see within yourself that you haven't tapped into yet?
Musically, I could use some help. I would love to express myself more creatively through music, but everybody knows my mother is the singer. I've got my aunt, Rose Edie Govan, who is a music instructor here in Fort Myers for many years.
Exactly.
They contributed their musical talents, but I think God gave me a different gift. But sometimes, man, I just put on music and I just envision myself. Yeah. And when the music up high enough, I sound just like Whitney Houston. So
Wow.
when the music up,
So you got that untapped potential that you haven't really explored.
I've delved into it, but it's a matter of
Right.
timing and everything else. And I have some other interests in life, but among those interests right now, my focus is inspiring the community to pay a little bit more attention,
For sure.
to learn what's going on with the city, and
but your whole family is musically inclined, like you said.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. My mother. That's how. I mean, I
For
remember.
sure.
Yeah, I remember your family requested my mother to sing "Total Praise" in particular.
Yeah, they love that.
Yes, absolutely. So I admire my mother's musical ability. She even as she is aging, it is a blessing to be close to my mother, to still have her here. Shout out to all the mothers and fathers out there. If you have your mother and father in your life, don't wait till it's too late. Show them love. Love on them. Give them their flowers while they can yet smell them.
How do we create opportunity in Southwest Florida for the upcoming youth? Mm-hmm. Because we see it so much, like you said, the undeveloped, and the lack of development in Southwest Florida. Well, okay. we won't even say Southwest Florida. We'll speak to the community that we're talking about. It stayed the same for so long.
You talking about our beloved Dunbar community?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So how do we grow?
How do we grow? Okay. Yeah. Well, first, I think it's important to acknowledge all of the many organizations that are established and are working to make a difference in the lives of our kids right here in our community. There are so many people who are tapping into their own personal power. They're not waiting anymore to get permission from anybody else. They're taking off on their own. And I think when we see youth doing the right thing, we definitely have to support them and make contact with them. Oftentimes it's better to just observe, or people will think it's better to observe them and not reach out and say, hey, young man, I'm proud of you. Hey, young lady, I see what you're doing. Whether that be in athletics, music, academics, those who take the scholastic route, I think it is important to get behind those organizations and to get behind the youth who are making these moves, because there's a lot of positivity. I just don't think it gets as much clout and as much recognition as some of the more negative things that we may hear about our community. But the youth in our community are flourishing. And for those who aren't, to your point, I think we have to continue to engage them. And there tends to be a gap, even when it comes to government, when it comes to the elders, which is honestly, I believe that's how God designed it to be. The elders have the wisdom, but the youth have the strength, the energy. Exactly. And so I don't think it's meant to be the elders against the youth. I think there's a collaboration that needs to happen.
Exactly.
So that the youth can feel supported, but the elders also have to feel respected. And there's a big gap I notice in our community.
It is.
We have amazing youth that are doing the right things. We have those parents behind them that are pushing, especially in athletics. We have guides. We have mentors such as Pastor Greg and City Takers. I always show love to Pastor Greg because he has stepped up to the plate in a way, just like yourself, just like I praise you for wanting to get the story out. Why? To educate people.
It's education.
To give people the ability to say, here is the information. Now you do what you need to do with the information. And so we have, through City Takers, I was able to go out to the juvenile detention centers on Tuesday nights. We would go faithfully. Pastor Greg still goes faithfully out with the team. Sometimes they take the kids pizza. Sometimes they just go out and love on those kids, because once they're in the juvenile justice center, it's like out of sight, out of mind, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we're thinking about kids. There's different levels to this. So these kids have made the decision that got them in a situation. Now they are being rehabilitated. They are trying to get their life, but they need guidance, right? And so shout out to City Takers, because City Takers say we're going to go out and love on those kids, the boys and the girls. And so when you go out to the juvenile justice, you'll be surprised. Those kids, they want attention. They want you to look at them and say, you know what, you're a good entertainer. You're a great speaker. Oh, I could tell that you're a good leader. Even in this environment, I can tell that you as a child are respected among your peers. Kids need to hear that so that they can continue to grow. But it's an ongoing project. You will never say that we've had enough and we've done enough for our youth. We have to invest, because once Chantel is gone, once Sam is gone, many years, there's somebody that's going to have to look at a blueprint.
Absolutely.
For how to run a successful podcast and be consistent over the years with getting the message out, with how to be a principal at a school. Oh, my first example, those kids will be able to say, my first example of a principal, she may have been in a sorority. He may have been in a fraternity. I know that now I want to go to college and pursue those same fun things, but you're still pursuing being a dentist, being a doctor, being a lawyer, being an engineer, being a social worker, being a musician, being an artist of any sort.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
We need the future, like you said, lawyer, doctor, teacher.
Absolutely.
So how important is it for families in our community to understand, social economics? Mm-hmm. Not only social economics, but just economics in general. How important is it for us to start developing a system that's going to work, like you said, for the future?
Keep your hand on the plow. That's the only thing I can say. That's a scriptural reference that says that alludes to the fact that once you take on that charge, don't pull back from it, because it's an ongoing mission. So as we talk about home ownership, that is something that it can empower an individual from a socioeconomic status, to your point, versus renting and putting your money into something that does not appreciate, that does not build value over time. So we have to have our leaders who can say, oh, I'll come out and teach a seminar on financial practices, financial literacy. Absolutely. But when they build it, when they put it out there, will you come and support it? That's the thing. Or will you just not, let me stay away from that because I don't want to give this particular person credit, or I don't want to. There are so many barriers to why we don't support what is already happening in our community. But financial literacy is of utmost importance. Chantel is still practicing and learning how to be more disciplined with the fine. Because, man, when you look at that bank statement, Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's,
Uber Eats.
Look, oh my God, DoorDash.
Yeah, DoorDash.
Gee whiz. Listen, so.
No, we're all in that type of system. We all get caught up in that. But when it comes to your leadership style, and having to make hard decisions, how would you go about that?
Making harder decisions requires having the right information to make the decision. We have to first know what we're dealing with. If you give me a deck of cards, I have to be familiar with that information. That's where reading comes in, right? That's where talking to people who have walked that path before. That is the beauty of having counsel. Right. And again, back to that collaboration between the older generation and the younger generation, that togetherness allows the youth to say, I respect you enough to come to you and be able to talk comfortably with you because I'm struggling making this decision, whether it's regarding my health, whether it's regarding family and a crisis or a dilemma that I'm in with a family member, that there may be some ties there or financial ties and there's a loss that could potentially happen. I think it's important to seek counsel, to seek wisdom, whether that be from our professionals, whether that be from the elders in our community, our pastors, leaders, people. So many times my pastor that I grew up under, in addition to Reverend Damon, my pastor, Dr. William Glover, has been there for me even in my adult years to help me make decisions, help my family make decisions that is best for us and that basically can lift us up and provide honor. So talking to people, listening to people, but knowing what you're dealing with, having the right information is a game changer.
Absolutely. Seeking wise counsel. But how have you been handling the criticism and the harsh words? What do you do to find peace within that and handle those type of situations?
Well, honestly, this show right here is a good opportunity to work on that or to address how I may interpret the harsh words, because oftentimes it is just a matter of people not having the right information. So when I come on a platform such as the Sons of Florida podcast and I'm able to, I guess, set the record straight or tell people what it is and what it isn't, or refer people to something like the Fort Myers City Charter and legally how words are made when it comes to how words are put together when it comes to what is a permanent resident. What does it mean to be a permanent resident? That means I can go off to the military and I still have a home to come back to. That means I can go off to college. I can go spend a month in Kenya, in Ghana, in Nigeria, and I can still come back to my permanent residence, because there are going to be times where people just don't want to hear what you have to say. They don't want to hear anything other than what they think they have said in their mind. And that needs to continuously be challenged. And I think I'm in a good space to challenge that. Even people who are habitually loud about community affairs, I notice some issues they'll get a little bit quiet about. And I don't mind asking, hey, what makes you loud about certain things and a little bit quiet? I invite you to step in this water. Come on. Because y'all so opinionated, on this shouldn't be done or this, I can't believe this and the third. I mean, I've been called all sorts of names, all sorts of, oh, she's unprofessional. Why am I unprofessional? Because I don't mind responding on Facebook to false information that is directed towards me. I have time. That is campaigning. Addressing public concern, all of it is campaigning. It's not you could be campaigning or focused on your campaign. This is my focus. Addressing the people that have influence, addressing the people that don't have influence, but have something negative to say and they're determined to paint a negative picture. And it could be your family members. It could be the ones closest to you. But when you engage in conversation, and some of it absolutely has to be ignored. I mean, you literally cannot address every single thing. But some stuff is very easy for me to address. And the minute you start asking questions, watch how some people fold.
Right.
Because the questions is gonna reveal how deeply you feel about what you're saying. Or you just content, like I said, putting something out there and not even being able to elaborate on it. Because if I ask you to talk about your kids right now, you could talk for days.
Absolutely.
You have so much information because that's what you truly care about. That's what you're closest to.
Absolutely.
And you would be able to elaborate for days. So when I ask people, okay, this issue about Chantel Rhodes that you've just presented, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. And the minute you start asking questions, like I said, that all that energy, it dissolves. And so it really kind of handles itself,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with the strong foundation that you spoke about, from the people that have supported you, what does continuing the legacy look like for you?
I guess it looks like doing exactly what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
And keeping that up throughout the years. So for as long as I live, I do want to be a person that helps other people, or is that I'm accessible to other people. Of course, there are times where you'll have to draw back and say, let me focus on myself. I got to get myself together. Maybe this is not the season for me to be vocal or for me to be out in the forefront. Maybe this is not the season for me to be trying to help and fix everybody else's issues. But people in the serving field, even I learned an interesting fact about morticians, that in the United States, I believe they're among the highest suicide rates. Let's talk about suicide. Let's talk about when people decide, I don't see any hope for my life.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take a route. And so we have to look at a lot of people in the serving profession, a lot of people in the medical or the mental health field, they carry these burdens, and sometimes they don't even have the ability to find a resting place. So when you ask me about my legacy, I want my legacy to be one of, if you come to me with a concern, by the time we're done with that conversation, you will have something that you can walk away with that will help you make your situation better.
Absolutely. So when we speak about, legacy and we talk about, people of the community, and it's somebody out there watching everything that we're doing. What would you tell that young girl?
Yeah.
You can do this too. What would you say to her to inspire her to keep going?
I would say things to the child, but I would really live it. May the work I've done speak for me, because that's them observing the children observing our lives. That is the biggest, I think, impact when they watch how we move, when they watch how we handle conflict, when they watch how we handle success. Does this person become arrogant and boastful and want to, put it in everybody's face that they've achieved success? They are watching how we move. And so my message to the youth would be in how I live, in my lifestyle. Whether that is a message of courage, get out there and do it yourself, because you can. You can make a difference in somebody else's life. And it's not just about making a difference. You can achieve your dreams. If you want to go to the Olympics, you can do it with the right support, with the right training. And that's where it's important to encourage parents too, because parents are still trying to find their own voice a lot of times.
Absolutely.
They're trying to find their own passions. They want to get back to doing what makes them happy outside of parenthood, which is, of course, comes first and foremost. But you're dealing with a lot of parents that may feel like they have untapped potential. So when you tap into the parents, sometimes you'll experience that trickle down effect where it then empowers the child.
Absolutely. So with that being said, if you can go back and tell the younger version of yourself, what would you tell her? What would be the message that you would give to that young version of yourself before anything that's been taking place right now?
Calm down. It's gonna be okay. Yeah. The feeling as a kid that maybe that nervousness in terms of what will I become? What will happen to me? Because kids ponder these things, because I did. I'm sure you did.
Yeah, for sure.
What will my future look like? I think a message would be relax. It's going to unfold. But of course, you can, even if I were able to tell my younger self that, it don't mean I would have listened to it. It doesn't mean that I would have believed it.
Right.
But the message I would have for younger Chantel is to just let it play out. The things that I spent so much time being fearful of, being nervous about. And now I look back on those memories like, wow, in hindsight, it's like child's play. But at one point in my life, that was such a monster for me to have to address or to have to deal with. And it's just a matter of continuing. Keep going, little baby. You got this.
You got this. Yeah. So anybody that you want to give a thanks to, give a shout out to?
I want to give a special shout out to everybody in the 239. This is our time to step up to the plate. This is our time to continue to shine in our respective fields. So shout out to the hometown. Shout out to the cradle. To what made it all possible for me and so many other people. A lot of people love our city. We love our city, and we have different ways of expressing that love for our city. I just am so encouraged by all of the leaders out there, such as yourself, Sam.
I
got a little gift for you.
I appreciate it.
From the Baby D collection.
So what is this?
I need you to open that and give me an honest opinion about it. Don't front now just because we on the... on the live. Don't front.
I'm gonna let you know right now. Wow.
No, man, don't play with me though.
And
Let me see this, that Florida water. This is my fragrance called Florida water. Shout out to my mother, Darlene.
So that's for me.
I did that. This for you. This is just a small token of my appreciation because you already look good. So we need this a little, just a little, and you don't even require much. But this is a fragrance called Florida Water. Y'all hit me up with Baby D Collection. My mother and I started a fragrance line called the Baby D Collection. Baby D, I'm the Baby D. That's Darlene, Baby Darlene. Everywhere I go, people say you sound just like your mama. You look just like your mama.
You look just like your mama. Sounds just like her.
So that was my tribute to my mother, and I get to do it with my mother. We work on this together. We work on mixing fragrances and making them accessible and at a nice price too, so that you're not paying a lot of money, and you can wear it in addition to your Gucci, your Versace,
absolutely.
Your Dolce and Gabbana. You can wear it in addition to that, and it'll give it a nice uplift.
So you just a Jane of all trades.
Oh no! Like I said, I got stuff to do. I'm about to go back. Lord will, I'm about to go back to school. To study a completely different profession, but we'll have to get into that later. But
much untapped potential.
Yeah, I have a lot. We got a lot to do. And that again, when the youth look at my life, okay, just look at it, take what you can as an example, and build and structure your own life. Like I had to look at my leaders, my heroes in the city. It started with my mother. I will always give honor to my mother because of the foundation. My grandmother, Miss Bertha Edie. I did not have a chance to know my grandfather, but people say, wow, you just like your granddaddy. Your granddaddy was the same way, and I just wish I could have seen his face. But all of my big sisters, my big brothers, my big cousins in the community that are doing wonderful things, that are being loving and being kind. And just embracing me in this season, I give honor to all of them, and I give honor to God too. What they say, who is the head of my life.
Amen.
During this season of my life, I can definitely say that I have been able to grow closer to because I need to sit quietly and say, okay, let me turn off the little music. Let me turn off everything and say, okay, Lord, I'm open to you talking to me. I want to do the right thing. I want to be led and produce good works in the earth. So, Lord, please go before me. Before I go to this interview today, I ask, Lord, that you give me the strength, you give me the words to say. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight. Am I perfect? Man. Absolutely not.
That's right.
But still having the audacity to say, God is for me too. I'm not going to let certain people make me feel as though I'm off limits to talking and communicating with the Creator.
That's
because
right.
Sometimes, you can get that from certain religious folks who feel like, oh, you live in this way, you doing this, that, and the third. God is not, and I do believe that God honors faith. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. I do believe that, and I do believe that a humble heart, as you're approaching your Creator, your higher power, I believe that having that humility and asking for understanding, asking for wisdom and guidance, I think it'll be granted. I've seen it for myself.
Absolutely. God is so good, isn't he? I mean, like you said, and nobody's beyond reproach. We all come to places where we're going to fall, but we got to get back up again.
Get back up again.
So, like I said,
you can sing, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
I do a little bit of that, Donnie McClurkin.
No,
we fall down.
No, you ain't gonna put me
on
the spot.
So you can't, man.
Look,
you know how to sing.
Yeah, I know how to sing, but not this time.
Not this time.
I got you though. But
I'm
like I said,
to that.
It's been an honor and a pleasure, and I just really thank you for opening up and everything that you're doing with this community, and just being, like you said, a vessel to allow yourself to be used. And one more question though, how far do you see yourself going with this?
With politics?
With politics. Because I see a lot more in it too, though, more than just this local level too.
I'm going to be honest with you. I've thought about this question. I've been asked this question. I don't want to go beyond the local level. And really? I have my reasons for that. I don't want to run for anything at a state level or a national level, a federal level. I don't see that for myself in terms of a government position. It could always change, but I want to be home with the leadership part in terms of government or politics, as some people would describe it. But I am not opposed to being at a national level or a state level, doing some work, representing in the field of social work, representing injustice and advocacy, but perhaps not in terms of an elected position. I do not see myself, it is not even limiting myself. I do not desire that. That is a desire. It's not that I feel like I cannot go, with respect to what you just said, in terms of seeing me at a higher level in terms of a seated government position. I do not mind collaborating, but in terms of actual just desire, I desire to be on the home front, closer to the issues. So in terms of like me running for governor, personally, I do not desire anything of that nature. So, and we can get into the why later, but I think it has to do with positioning and who I feel like I would be dependent on. A lot of people do not know this, but I have even changed my political affiliation to independent. Whereas I was a Democrat from the time I was able to vote because I wanted to vote for Obama.
Absolutely.
I saw Obama. I was inspired by Barack and Michelle Obama.
Absolutely.
But when I look at my value system, when I look at where my moderation lies on certain topics or ideas, I see myself not positioned comfortably in the Democratic Party. I do not see myself positioned comfortably in the Republican Party. And there's options that we have that we should take advantage of I have so much love for the local Democratic Party on every level because they taught me so much, and I'm still in contact with those people. And so I do not want to be divided by Republican, Democrat, Independent, Green Party. I believe that we can see people beyond their party affiliation and realize that they always say black people are not a monolith until a black person becomes MAGA or a Republican. And then it's just like, oh my God, I don't see things that way. I support my Republican friends. I support my Democratic friends. I support everybody because I could see a little bit beyond the political divide. And there's this book that really helped me called Love Your Enemies. It's by Arthur Brooks. He is a conservative, and the book is amazing because it's not your typical, oh, just love people no matter what. Let me just, love people and get along with people. It breaks down the concept of contempt, which we are all susceptible to.
Absolutely.
When we have contempt in our heart for somebody else and their mindset or their ideas, contempt is that looking down like, ugh, how could you vote for this person? How could you feel this way about that issue? That is a judgment that we carry and we push out on other people. And now we have defined that person by their value system, which they are entitled to. And so Love Your Enemies by Arthur Brooks. I usually don't give shout outs like this, but that is an amazing book. I've posted it time after time. Matter of fact, I may pull it up on Audible and go and listen to it again, because they say experts can predict couples that are about to get divorced.
Why is that?
By when they're sitting in therapy, by how much contempt they show for one another. Contempt, like, oh, I can't stand when she does this. I just don't it's just so stupid that he does this or a professional can look at that and predict
Yeah.
It's only 2 or 3 years before this couple divorces because they look down on each other. They may think the other one is supportive or nice looking or a great mother, a great father. But when they have that deep rooted contempt towards their partner, their lover, they can predict, all right, you look down on this person and that's going to continue to show up in your relationship because you look down on them for one reason or another.
So how does one overcome that contempt? How do you allow yourself to move forward from that?
Good question. Okay, good question. I think the first thing is recognizing the contempt. Recognizing how easily it is for us to look at somebody else and cast judgment on their decisions. We are not in their position. We didn't have the same upbringing they had. Yeah. We did not have the same value systems placed in us. And to look at something from one point of view without considering this person may care about this. I do challenge a lot of my African-American friends and family members when they are automatically judgmental of a Black person who is a more conservative person. Or, oh, they don't support this or they don't support that, and they don't have to. Yeah. That's the beauty of it. They don't have to.
Right.
But it may lead to a bigger conversation of contempt. You look down on me because of this. Or I look down on you because you support this when it comes to immigration, when it comes to the laws of the land. And when we see each other beyond that and we connect through stories, I think that is the first step to overcoming that contempt, is to recognize you carry that and then address it within yourself first.
You have to.
Yeah, address it within yourself. And I had to look at all the ways that I was building walls, blocking opportunities because I'm following a script.
Right.
From a particular political party. And I'm like, I look around, I'm like, this don't match my life at all. I don't think like this at all. This wasn't how I was brought up at all.
Exactly.
And so I have to be true to myself.
Yeah.
And then also say, I can look at the next person. I respect you just as much. I'm not going to look down on you because of your value system in terms of
where you
elected
come from,
or social matters, or political matters. I think we just have to spend time talking to one another, realizing that person that you're judging, that's somebody's baby too. Absolutely. That person that you're name calling, that's somebody's baby too. And, you know, of course I have to look at my own life and continuously, what they say, let every man examine himself. Absolutely. Continuously examine every man and woman, examine themselves. And constantly just filtering and purging out that heart, that inner man, that mindset that may cause us to be automatically against a person. What has that person done to you? Nothing.
Yeah, nothing
at all. You just maybe following something based on that person's interaction with somebody else. Now you want to jump on a bandwagon and criticize or be oppositional, and you don't know anything about the person that limits us as individuals. Because your blessing, your upgrade could be tied to the very person that you're looking down on.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
With that being said, where can people find you at?
Seeking you shall find. You know, you can hit up Mr. Sam Brown to get to me, but I'm accessible on all social media, Alchemist239 on Instagram. I am Chantel Rhodes on Facebook, ChantelRhodes. And I'm here. Do I answer every single call that comes through? No, because the scam be likelying. The scam be likely. And so no, I don't answer every call, but that's the beauty of leaving a voice message. Identify yourself. Identify what you want. What are we talking about? You want to sit up and flirt and cake? I ain't got time. Not during this season of my life. Yeah. I'm going to circle back to that now. But right now, I've gotten a lot of those kind of, what you doing message. Don't worry about what I'm doing. What you doing? What you about to do for me in this campaign? I don't mind asking you. Like, what? Like, we not playing those games. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm accessible. I'm out here. And thank you all so much for taking the time to listen to this. And thank you, sir.
I appreciate you so
I hope
much.
to smell that Florida water on you.
Yeah, I'm already smelling it right now. Like I said, it's been an abundance of and a wealth of just knowledge being spoke through you, and I greatly appreciate you. And it's been another Sons of Florida podcast. Thank
Shout
you all
out to Sons of Florida podcast. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you too.
All
I appreciate you.
We did it. That was amazing. That was